Good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where the Orbit 1 team, led by Flight Director Elias Mirmo and his Cerberus flight team, are working with their Russian Mission Control Center counterparts in Korolyov, half a world away, just outside of Moscow. And they are monitoring the progress of Progress 88, which heads towards the International Space Station, the unpiloted cargo spacecraft. It's looking to complete its two-day journey, which started back on Thursday morning, and will dock to the space-facing port of the Poisk module, and where it will unload 2.7 tons of cargo, including food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 71 crew. And once docked, it will spend nearly 6 months to the space station. Current docking is scheduled for 6:46 a.m. Central Time, and there you see a live view from the Progress 88 spacecraft as it embarks and looks to complete its journey to the International Space Station. And that journey would begin, as mentioned, early Thursday morning, in which it would depart Launch Pad 6, Site 31, at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Launch was at 4:43 a.m. Central Time, 5:43 a.m. Eastern Time, and on a sunny day in the afternoon in Kazakhstan atop a Soyuz 2.1A booster, in which it would have a smooth 8-minute and 47-second ride into its preliminary orbit. All rendezvous maneuvers inside the Progress have been pre-programmed in its chase to the International Space Station. You are now looking at a live view, a balcony view from the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, in which they are monitoring the progress of Progress 88 as it closes in, now inside 8 kilometers, to the International Space Station. In advance of the launch of Progress 88, the Progress 86 spacecraft would clear the Poisk module on the International Space Station on Tuesday, in which it would harmlessly enter a deorbit burn and destructive reentry over the Pacific Ocean.
Station Moscow on Space to Ground 1 for Nikolai and Oleg. Go ahead. I have double-checked with the specialist. Everything is perfect. We can see you very well, and everybody is happy with what they see. Moscow Station, Space to Ground 1 for Yakov. Go ahead. Yakov, we have TV on. We have the range, which is 5.6, and we have the rate, and we see it in the middle. Okay, we are not seeing the video yet, the picture yet. We can only see it from your camera. We will be awaiting for the retrograde correction, and afterwards there will be the Toro activation, but only on MCC Go. All right, copy.
And you just heard conversations between the two Russian cosmonauts overseeing today's docking, in Oleg Kononenko, the commander of Expedition 71, and Nikolai Chub. And you are looking at a live view from Progress and its sites on the International Space Station. And in your lower left-hand corner, you can see the telemetry data of it closing in, approaching 5 kilometers out at a rate of just inside 8.5 meters per second.
Need me to, please call me and I will report back. All right, so the picture is coming through. We see it.
And as mentioned, the two cosmonauts that are monitoring today's docking for the Progress 88 are the commander of Expedition 71, Oleg Kononenko, and Nikolai Chub, the flight engineer. They arrived to station back in September with NASA astronaut Laura O'Hara, and they have overseen the arrival of 2 previous Progress spacecraft in 86 and 87, and they've also added 2 spacewalks in their time up on station. They were awakened and up and at it earlier to begin the process and preparation for Progress, and they will be monitoring the Toru, the telerobotic operated rendezvous unit, if the core's automatic docking system were to have any issues, and they are currently located inside the Zvezda service module. For Kononenko, he is also coming up on a personal milestone this coming Tuesday in which he will celebrate 1,000 days in space. We are coming up on fly around in which Progress 88 in its approach to the International Space Station will embark on a maneuver to properly align itself up to then begin final approach to the space-facing port of the Poisk module and docking shortly thereafter, about 40 minutes from now. But after fly around, a period of station keeping in which the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov will do its fine-tuning in order to allow the Progress to be properly aligned before the forward docking probe on the spacecraft will be able to interlock with the port on Poisk. And then after docking, there'll be a few seconds of contact and capture to allow for the relative motion to dampen out between the two, and then the hooks will begin to close for the hard mate. Leak checks will then be performed, and the hatches will then open up to unload the 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies, which exactly measures out to 5,520 pounds, and that includes 1,662 pounds of propellant, 926 pounds of water, and an additional 2,884 pounds of supplies. And again, the journey of the Progress 88 spacecraft began this past Thursday morning, early at 4:43 a.m. Central Time, 5:43 a.m. Eastern Time, as you see the launch day highlights on a beautiful sunny day out at Pad 6, Site 31 of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. That would send Progress 88 on its way to the International Space Station. A smooth operation from start to finish as it began its journey to bring the food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 71 crew. And on board the International Space Station, the Expedition 71 crew, which includes NASA astronauts Tracy Dyson, Mike Barrett, Matthew Dominic, Jeanette Epps, and Roscosmos cosmonauts Alexander Grabenkin, Oleg Kononenko, the commander of Expedition 71 and overseeing today's Progress 88 docking, and Nikolai Chub of Roscosmos as well. Today, they are well into an off day on the International Space Station as they prepare for NASA's Boeing crewed flight test that'll be occurring later on this morning, Central Time, and this afternoon Eastern Time, which will follow the coverage here of the Progress 88 docking. And there you see a live view of the white flight control room just down the hallways of the Mission Control here in Houston, the International Space Station Flight Control Room, in which the Ascent Flight Director for Boeing, Mike Lammers, and team preparing for today's launch activities. For the launch of the Boeing crewed flight tests, currently scheduled for 11:25 and 40 seconds a.m. Central Time, 12:25 and 40 seconds Eastern Time, and coverage here on NASA TV will begin shortly after the Progress 88's scheduled docking, which is going to be in about 36 minutes from now. And back inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, Flight Director Elias Mirmo and his Cerberus flight team currently monitoring the International Space Station and the progress of the Progress 88 spacecraft. The International Space Station flying northwest to southeast at an incline of 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, and it is currently over South America. Back to the crosshaired video from Progress as it tracks down the International Space Station, currently just a little over 2 kilometers out and tracking at just a little over 8 meters per second. After a sequence of impulse burns to maneuver its path and fine-tune its trajectory to the International Space Station, the period of the fly-around mode will begin about 9.5 minutes from now, and then a period of station keeping, which will allow the fine-tuning of the Progress 88 spacecraft to the International Space Station. That'll be in about 20 minutes or so, and then final approach will then get underway. Of those fine-tuning burns that the Progress spacecraft is currently undergoing, Impulse 4 has been completed as the spacecraft continues to track down the International Space Station. And you can see the space station coming into view now as the cameras adjust aboard the Progress spacecraft, about 1.6 kilometers away and approaching at a rate of just over 4 meters per second. And there's a fantastic view from the International Space Station as the Progress is on approach.
How do you copy? You can, you have a go to activate Toro in work. After the command, please proceed with page 21. Copy.
And you just heard the commands coming from the Russian Mission Control Center as the cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chu prepare for the arrival of the Progress 88 spacecraft, and another great view of its approach to the orbiting laboratory. Space station currently flying over Rio de Janeiro in Brazil at this hour, in which it is going 51.6 degrees, orbiting northeast to southwest.
Toro activation command is sent, and I'm proceeding with page 21. Copy.
Progress now 1.2 kilometers away, closing in at a rate of just under 4 meters per second.
I activated the сеть, then ручки питания, and the BPS is on. BPS has been on, and I am testing the RUA, turning it up, turning it in the neutral. There are no failures. Everything is great, and I'm putting it to the right, to the left, clockwise and counterclockwise. No problems there. Copy. Yes, right now I will be doing the translation.
Fly around for the Progress 88 spacecraft, just under 6 minutes away, in which it'll fly around the International Space Station at a 15-degree angle as it continues to make its way towards the space-facing port of the Poisk module. Now 1,000 kilometers out at a rate of just a little more than 3 meters per second.
BPS is command. The command has been sent. How do you copy? We copy. Please proceed with step 4.3. In work. I'm activating BPS is the initial BPS. It's on. I'm activating Rabota. It's on. And the Peresvetka or the AGC mode is on. The first mark is on.
Progress 88 currently undergoing Impulse 5 and just wrapping up one of its burns to fine-tune its path. As we see from the International Space Station, its approach to the Poisk module.
It turned off.
And as it arrives, it'll be moving at a glacial rate
now you can probably see
of 1/10 a meter per second.
Now I'm turning off the operation, Rabota. I'm switching to page 22. Copy. Yes, we can see the image. Everything is great, and please proceed with page 22. In work.
Cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub just completed the Toru test. That is the backup system should the Core's automatic docking system were to have any issues. And those two currently overseeing the Toru, the telerobotically operated rendezvous unit located inside the Zvezda service module. Fly around for station for the spacecraft. A little less than 3.5 minutes from now. And then a short period of station keeping to fine-tune any adjustments necessary on its final approach, docking roughly 29 minutes from this moment. Impulse 6. Another one of those fine-tuning burns for the Progress 88 spacecraft has just been completed as we prepare for the fly-around mode to begin momentarily. And again, the view, the cross-haired view camera from the Progress spacecraft. And from the International Space Station, approaching about 1.5 meters per second. Now 530 meters away, the Progress spacecraft preparing for fly around under 2 minutes from now. And again, at a degree angle of 15 degrees.
You can barely see it. Yes, you can send the Rabota command. Sending. And I can see only 2 marks there, and it's kind of blinking, so I can't see it very well. I'm trying to achieve the 3rd mark. Copy.
Progress 88, less than 500 meters away from the International Space Station to deliver 2.7 tons of cargo, food, fuel, and supplies, including propellant, water, and other dry goods.
All right, I'm turning off Rabota, the operation, but I still cannot see it very well. Well, we can stand by. The Rabota is off, and it's supposed to get better.
Fly around for the Progress spacecraft beginning in half a minute's time as Oleh Kononenko and Nikolai Chub continue to communicate with the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov. And now, fly around has begun for Progress 88 as it approaches the space station in that mode at a 15-degree angle
We see that
in preparation for final approach.
And we are not seeing the image. So yes, indeed, we do have the radial speed at 1.1, and the fly around has been complete. Copy.
Fly around currently underway for the Progress 88 spacecraft, in which it has approximately 10 minutes or so remaining, and then a brief period of station keeping, in which the Russian Mission Control Center will make sure everything is properly aligned before final approach to the space-facing port of the Poisk module.
Maybe this is because of the reflection from the array, and it will go sideways now, and the picture should improve. Right now, the picture is awesome. We do have the range of 320, and the rate is 0.86. We are seeing the picture as well, and the quality is acceptable.
This is Mission Control, Houston, as the Progress 88 cargo spacecraft, the unpiloted craft, making its way to the International Space Station, currently in fly-around mode, and then a period of station keeping before final approach. And then you see live views of the space station from the Progress spacecraft, in which it is 200 meters away from the orbiting laboratory and starting to slow down, now at a rate 0.67 meters per second. Progress 88 using the Coors automated docking system, which is pre-programmed upon launch, in which signals going back and forth between the Russian Mission Control Center, allowing it to autonomously dock to the Poisk module. Expedition 71 Commander Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub in communication with the Russian Mission Control. And from the International Space Station, you're seeing excellent views of the firings as the Progress 88 continues to make adjustments as it approaches the space station. Progress now closing in on 240 meters away from the orbiting laboratory. And Progress continues to make its way in the fly-around mode of the International Space Station. And from the view of the Progress, the cross-haired view, you can see it starting to line itself up with the space-facing port of the Poisk module, currently sitting at 225 meters out and slowing down to currently a rate of just a little more than 20 meters per second. And as fly around mode continues in approach of the station keeping portion of the docking procedures. Progress will slow down to allow for that and hold for those final commands and analysis from the Russian Mission Control Center. And that is the team here inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, preparing the space station and its Expedition 71 crew for the arrival of the Progress 88 spacecraft. And this is the balcony view from the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, where they are making similar adjustments to the Progress. Approach rate slowing down to nearly 200 meters away from the International Space Station. There you can follow along in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And the rate of closure starting to slow down to nearly 0 meters per second. As both the Progress 88 spacecraft and the International Space Station prepare for docking. The two currently crossing over the western coast of Africa, and the Expedition 71 crew off day today as they prepare not only for the arrival of Progress 88, but in preparation for later this morning Central Time and into the afternoon on the East Coast, the Boeing crewed flight test, which is scheduled to launch at 11:25 and 40 seconds Central Time, 12:25 and 40 seconds Eastern Time. Progress 88 now in its final stages of the fly around process at that 15-degree angle. And there it'll pause for a moment for the period of station keeping, the fine tuning, to make sure everything is right on track for its arrival to the space station or space facing port of the Poisk module.
Moscow, I have the display parameters, but the S word value, it's changing from 1 to inaudible. Yes, from 1 to 0. Yes, we see there is this issue. And rate is from 0 to negative 148 on the display. Can you confirm visually? Stand by. We're going to use the ruler. Nikolai is going to. About 200 meters range when we measure with the ruler. And roll is appearing periodically, roll display. Yes, copy.
Great view from the International Space Station of the Progress spacecraft and its adjustments on its approach to the orbiting laboratory, docking roughly 16.5 minutes from now, looking to complete its 2-day journey to the International Space Station. And now Progress beginning to roll to properly align the solar arrays deployed on either side to match up precisely where they need to be in order to dock to that
Yes,
space-facing port of the Poisk module.
Roll maneuver. Yes.
And there you can see right in the center of the crosshairs the Poisk module as the Progress 88 spacecraft continues its roll maneuver again to properly align the solar arrays that are on either side ahead of docking.
Approximately 160 meters range. Copy 160.
Just shy of 160 meters out as station keeping begins to wrap up for the Progress 88 spacecraft and begin making its way towards the final approach.
Roll maneuver is complete. Range 160 meters. Copy.
Station keeping now underway for the Progress spacecraft after the roll maneuver has been completed. There it'll wait a moment
Yes.
as it is approximately 160 meters away from the International Space Station.
And we have just gotten instructions.
Да, подтверждаю. Выдаем БПС исходная, работа, формат 44.
You need to use display 44.
And during this period of station keeping, this is the opportunity to do any fine tuning necessary to the Progress 88 spacecraft and the forward docking probe before it begins its final approach to the space-facing port of the Poisk module.
Наблюдаем два причала, ожидаем начала автоматического причаливания.
We can see indication of approach.
And the command has been given as final approach is now underway for the Progress spacecraft, closing in now at under 170 meters from the International Space Station.
Copy. Approaching range of 120 according to our ruler measurement. Copy.
Cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub relaying their measurements of the Progress spacecraft and approximately 120 meters away from the International Space Station and docking to the Poisk module.
Are you comfortable with the brightness? You can toggle it if you want. It's at your discretion. So far, so good. We can see the docking assembly. Copy.
So far, so good. Relayed down from the space station as the Progress makes its final approach to the Poisk module, in which the forward docking probe on the Progress will interlock with that port on the Poisk. And then a few seconds after contact and capture, it'll allow the station and the Progress for any relative motion to dampen out. And then the hooks will begin to close to create a hard mate between the spacecraft and the International Space Station. And then from there, leak checks will be performed. The hatches can be opened, and The unloading can begin of the 2.7 tons of cargo aboard the unpiloted cargo spacecraft. Inside 100 meters now for Progress as it closes in on docking. Scheduled just inside 11 minutes from now.
Copy.
And as the Progress and International Space Station prepare to link up, the two currently crossing over the Mediterranean, making its way into the southernmost portions of Europe. Progress now closing in at 0.3 of a meter per second and inside 70 meters away from docking to the Poisk module. Progress now inside 60 meters from the International Space Station, closing in at just a little more than 0.2 a meter per second. And there, the Expedition 71 crew awaits its arrival.
Линейки дальность порядка 40 метров, по курсу 50. Скорость там.
We have 40 meters range according to our ruler measurement and 50 meters on the course. Observing the target, everything is aligned perfectly.
Вас понял, отлично.
Copy, excellent.
Alignment right on the money for the Progress 88 spacecraft to the International Space Station, with docking coming up just a little more than 8 minutes from now. And then once
46 meters range.
Вас понял, дальность 46, СВП готов.
Copied at 46 meters range, SSVP ready.
46 meters, and now the docking system power-up has been completed.
Итак, мы подходим потихоньку к дальности 30 метров.
Approaching 30-meter range. Please remember to send BPS initial, command, and Работа operation. Copy.
We'll be getting video back from the Progress momentarily as we look out from the balcony view of the Russian Mission Control Center as we switch to the balcony view of the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov as the Progress spacecraft on final approach to the International Space Station. And shortly after docking and once hooks are closed, it's a reminder that we'll be transitioning on over to Kennedy Space Center in the anticipation of the launch of the NASA's Boeing crewed flight test later this morning Central Time and into the early afternoon on the East Coast. Launch scheduled at 11:25, with coverage beginning at 7:15 a.m. Central Time.
Crosshairs aligned. And according to our measurement, 20 meters according to the course, measurement 30 meters. Copy. Continue. Breakout enabled, command has been sent. 29 meters range.
Принято.
Copy.
Final bit of distance for the Progress 88 spacecraft is the crosshairs. You can see from the Russian Mission Control balcony view in that top right-hand corner.
Station, so you are done with this page. Proceed to page 24 of Toro Arodiev. 12 meters. according to our ruler measurement.
Cosmonauts Oleh Kononenko and Nikolai Chu reporting
Repeat,
12
please.
meters separating Progress from the International Space Station.
What's the range?
And as you can see from the cross-haired view, the target that it is looking to line up just off to the left-hand side of dead center is the target that will properly align the spacecraft to center up on the International Space Station.
Copy.
Есть база АЭР.
Принял, также наблюдаем база АЭР.
AR base. Yes, and we concur.
По линейке дальность 15.
15 meters range and 20 meters per course. Copy.
И все в норме.
Everything nominal.
Ну, у нас дальность менее 30 метров, поэтому...
The range is less than 30, so the course range is not credible now.
Дальность 12 метров.
Okay, copy. Range 12 meters. Copy.
12 meters away, everything lining up nominal with the Core's automatic docking system, putting the crosshairs that you see on the camera with the pentagon-shaped target that is floating just to the upper left-hand side. And as it continues its final approach, we'll continue to align
1.
for docking.
Принято.
Copy.
Принято.
Дальность по линейке 9 метров.
Range less than 9 meters.
Less than 9 meters, you hear, is you see a great view from the International Space Station, those final few bits of distance between the cargo spacecraft and the International Space Station.
Дальность 6 метров, скорость 0,1.
Range 6 meters. Rate 0.1.
Принял, отлично.
Copy. Excellent.
Большое согласование.
Reporting 6 meters away as the Core's automatic docking system so far working well,
Range
connecting
4 meters.
Progress 88 to the space
Rate
station.
0.1. Copy.
Дальность 3 метра.
3 meter range.
3 meters, and we'll listen for confirmation
Rate 0.09.
of contact and capture.
Standing by for contact.
Ожидаем касания.
Copy. Standing by for contact.
Дальность 1 метр.
1 meter range.
1 градус. Немножко вклинит.
A small misalignment.
Да, принял, все должно подтянуться.
Yes, copy.
Да, принял, все
Есть цепка. Есть цепка. Время 11:43:13.
Есть касание сцепка.
Contact at 11:42:13. Copy that. Now continue monitoring the latching.
Contact has been confirmed,
Okay.
6:43 a.m. Central Time, as the International Space Station and Progress 88 spacecraft have connected over southern Russia, and now we will stand by for the hooks to close on the Progress to create the hard mate. But for now, they'll allow a few seconds as the International Space Station in free drift for the relative motion to dampen out before the hooks can begin to form that hard mate. Contact has been confirmed again at 6:43 a.m. Central Time, 7:43 a.m. Eastern Time between the Progress 88 spacecraft, the International Space Station, A fantastic connection between the two, with the core's automated docking system leading the way. Now we stand by for hooks to begin closure as the forward docking probe on Progress continues to interlock with the space-facing port of the Poisk module. Docking probe on the Progress 88 uncrewed spacecraft, cargo craft, currently driving to start the production of the hard mate between the spacecraft and the International Space Station. And from there, that's where the hooks will close to seal the two together and complete the docking process. And then a sequence of checks will then be performed before hatches can open and the Expedition 71 crew can begin to unload the 2.7 tons of supplies.
Alignment is complete based on our image. Yes, it looks that alignment is completed. Standing by.
Экипаж, получено указание.
Station Moscow. In order to correct the AGC performance.
Back inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Mission Control in Houston as we stand by for confirmation of hooks being closed on the Progress 88 cargo craft.
What else would you like? Just try to toggle AGC mode. Copy. Will do. All right. Operation mode and AGC toggling now.
And with that confirmation, the hard mate has been completed between the Progress 88 spacecraft and the International Space Station, completing Progress 88's two-day journey that started back on Thursday morning and now delivers 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 71 crew. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up our coverage of the Progress 88 docking for this morning, but do not go anywhere, as shortly coming up soon, starting at 7:15 a.m. Central Time, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, coverage of NASA's Boeing crewed flight test that will send NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams to join the International Space Station will begin shortly. But a successful rendezvous and docking of the Progress 88 spacecraft and 2.0 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to be unpacked by the Expedition 71 crew shortly. That'll do it for our coverage, but again, stand by as NASA's Boeing crewed flight test begins momentarily. This is Mission Control Houston.